you watching closely?
Every magic trick consists of 3 parts, or acts. The first part is called the pledge. The magician shows you something ordinary. The second act is called the turn. The magician takes the ordinary something and makes it into something extraordinary. But you wouldn't clap yet, because making something disappear isn't enough. You have to bring it back. Hey. Now you're looking for the secret. But you won't find it because, of course, you're not really looking. You don't really want to work it out. You want to be fooled.
Hello, and welcome back to 5225, 52 Weeks of Loving Movies. It is my birthday week, so we are talking about my favorite movies. Today's movie that we are talking about is The Prestige, and I have someone with me who also loves The Prestige, Corey Ross. Hello, Corey.
Hey, Matt. How's it going, man?
Doing all right. Let's start this off with The Pledge. We're going to do this in the three act magic trick structure. We're going to start with The Pledge, which is we're going to talk about why when we fell in love with this movie. For me, I saw it in the movie theater. I'm a huge Batman fan, as you can see behind me there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big Batman fan. So when Nolan made Batman Begins, I was like, I saw that movie and I was just blown away, and I was like, yes, this is someone I need to look at. So I went and watched like his previous movies. I fell in love with Christian Bale at that time. He became like my favorite actor for years. So when I found out this was coming out, Christian Bale teaming back up with Christopher Nolan, I was like, yes. I was incredibly excited. I went and saw it, and what I didn't realize was that I was going to like it even more than Batman Begins. And this is my favorite Christopher Nolan movie. Like, and as a Batman fan, and he has made the definitive Batman movie, which is The Dark Knight. The fact that this is above that is really says something. But that's really when I fell in love with it. And I worked at the video store at the time, so like anybody who would come in and listen to me, I told them, you have to watch it. It's funny because the Illusionist came out the same year, around the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And there was kind of a discussion about which one was better. Reviews would always cite like which one they thought was better. For me, there was absolutely no question. Like it was not even close. They weren't in the same ballpark. Paul Giamatti is incredible in the Illusionist, but that's about as far as I'll go with that one. I mean, it's not a bad movie, but it doesn't touch The Prestige at all. Tell me about your experience with falling in love with The Prestige.
Yeah, this probably came out when I was either in elementary school or junior high.
Oh, wow.
So this is like well before I like became a cinephile. I probably actually saw this for the first time probably on TBS or TNT, honestly. I do have a bit of nostalgia for the cable days, ironically, and this probably falls squarely in that. I probably watched Lord of the Rings for the first time on cable as well, but this is one of those movies that it just sucks you in, from beginning to end. And I probably like started watching it midway through the first time, and I probably had to go, I need to find this movie and watch it from beginning to end. And it is I wouldn't say a masterpiece because it's maybe a masterpiece of like a puzzle box movie.
Mhm.
And I wouldn't. I think it's my favorite Nolan film. I don't think it's his best film necessarily,
I agree.
and I think there's a lot to be said for everything around it. Um, that just makes it an incredible film that we were talking before we got on camera that it's just it's one of those movies when you come back to and you watch it again and you're just like it's even better than what you remember, which is very rare for a lot of things that people love.
I completely agree. I always know I love this movie, and I always know the things I love about it. But every time I go back to it, I somehow love it more than I thought I did. And that's that. You're right. That is a rare thing. Um, but let's move on to The Turn here. What we're going to
Mhm.
talk about now is we're going to talk about what we love about this movie. But if you have never seen The Prestige, number one, you can just stop this and go watch it because you should.
Absolutely.
But if you haven't seen it and you want to keep going, this next section is going to be spoiler free, and trust me, you don't want to know the spoilers. So you can watch this next section. I will warn you before we get into spoiler territory. But let's talk about what we love about this movie, and I'll just start here. My favorite thing, and I kind of realized it on this last rewatch that I rewatched it for this. Um, uh, my favorite thing about it is that. Uh, and I may have always loved this about it, but I just kind of put words to it, and that is the famous George Lucas saying, "It's a poem, it rhymes." Uh, I love the way this movie rhymes throughout the whole thing, and it can't. And a lesser filmmaker in a lesser film that could get that could feel gimmicky, and it could feel very obvious, and it could mean that you
Mhm.
see everything coming. But the way that this movie rhymes, the way that everything they set up early in the film is repeated in the second and third acts, but in a way that doesn't feel like they're retreading or that they
Mhm.
are that they've given anything away. I think it's genius. I love the way this movie rhymes.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And like part of the whole kind of rhyming structure is, and you alluded to it before, is the three acts that they just introduce in the opening scene.
Hmm.
And it's just like maybe one of the best. It's not really like a not really an exposition dump at the beginning with Michael Caine. And,
Hmm.
I think Michael Caine is a huge aspect of why this movie is so great. Like,
Hmm.
excellent kind of he plays the role of like the narrator, the third party a little bit, but
Hmm.
just that opening scene where he sets it up with the pledge, the turn, and the prestige, and then the film structure just follows that, right? It's three acts, but it's very specific to the world of magic. And I think you were talking about how it rhymes, right? And like upon rewatch, what I was saying before is you see it so much more once you know the ending, and then you
Hmm.
see everything that comes before it, and you're just like, it is. I go back to calling it a masterpiece puzzle box, and that's really like it's a rhyming puzzle box, and it drives through the whole movie. Like I don't know the exact runtime of it. What is it here? Uh,
It's over 2 hours, I
it's
believe.
over 2 hours, and it feels like an 80-90 minute movie. Um, and it just cooks the whole time.
Oh yeah, for 100%. I completely agree with you. Um, let's talk about the actors in this. Now
Hmm.
he reteams with both Christian Bale and Michael Caine, as you mentioned, Michael
Hmm.
Caine, um, which and then they add in Hugh Jackman. Which
Hmm.
when this came out, Hugh Jackman he had been in a lot of stuff, but he was mostly Wolverine. Like
Hmm.
that was like his thing. So when this comes out, I was very excited for it, and I was like, about, I'm not so sure about Hugh Jackman, but the rest of this looks amazing. I think that the especially the lead two roles are so perfectly cast, like, and I wouldn't switch those roles. Like, and
Hmm.
sometimes when you get a two hander like that, it kind of feels like, well, maybe one of them could switch over to the other, or both of them they could switch roles. I wouldn't switch those roles. I think that they are absolutely perfectly cast
Mhm.
in the roles that they are in. Um, and Michael Caine, as you allude to, kind of he is the glue for this movie, like, because not only because he, as you said, he's the narrator, and uh he's the third party observer, but also he's kind of the cipher for the audience, in that he's not necessarily, even though he does like takes, like he is on one side or the other at
Mhm.
times. He's not, he's relatively neutral in terms of over the whole course of the movie, and is not afraid to kind of speak the things that the audience would think about during that movie. So I think that I think you're spot on with that, and he's really incredible in this. Do you have thoughts on the actors and their characters?
Yeah, I love how similar Bale and Jackman are, right? Like they are, they're very handsome men, black hair, and it really sells, the fact that these guys are like two sides of the same coin in a lot of ways.
Hmm.
And I think that does a lot of like subconscious, like bringing everything together. In that, like you said, Hugh Jackman was mostly known for Wolverine at the time, and I think, and we'll get into stuff later, right? I think there's a lot of stuff in this that really showcases how just good of an actor he is, right? Like,
Hmm.
uh, you know, for better or for worse, superhero films aren't always necessarily, the most acting choppy kind of roles for things,
Hmm.
and Hugh Jackman's one of those guys that from X-Men on forward, he's just only like transcended and gone past that. And then obviously Christian Bale, right, is just like the ultimate chameleon for things.
Hmm.
Um, and then Michael Caine, I could listen to that man read the dictionary, right? Like, so he is just a national treasure.
Hmm.
Um, but one of the aspects that I was really paying attention to this time is the ladies in the film, right?
Hmm.
You've got Piper Perabo, who's in it for a very limited amount of time. You've got Scarlett Johansson and Rebecca Hall. I always get her and Rebecca Ferguson confused. Rebecca Hall,
Me too.
and the and like this is a relatively early ScarJo role in terms of like her becoming a more mainstream actress, and I think her and Rebecca Hall are just phenomenal foils to the men in the film. And I really do think they both bring this really important romantic aspect to it, and emotional aspect, and it brings it out of the men in the film. And as supporting actors in a film, that's really what you're supposed to do. So like this cast from like top to bottom is just loaded, and I would say almost perfectly cast.
Absolutely. I Scarlett Johansson and Rebecca Hall. I also get them, Rebecca Hall and Rebecca Ferguson, confused. I actually am resisting the urge to look it up and make sure you're right, but I trust you.
I,
um,
I think I'm right. I'm right. I'm right.
okay.
I was like, I better double check it before the move before we record.
But no, Scarlett Johansson and Rebecca Hall, similar to what you were saying about Jackman and Bale, are kind of two sides of the same coin. Like they
Hmm.
are, and what I love is that they are almost with the wrong guy
Hmm.
the whole time. Like Rebecca Hall's character would have a great life with Hugh
Hmm.
Jackman, and
Hmm.
uh, and Scarlett Johansson's character is the perfect type of person for Christian Bale's situation. And and she does go over to the other side at one point. You can
Hmm.
see that that chemistry that they have there, but it feels like they're with the wrong people. Um, but yes, they do feel like they are
Hmm.
the two sides of the same coin, which I also really love. And again, the rhyming in this
Hmm.
movie. Uh, but yeah, it's I agree with you. The cast is absolutely perfectly. It's perfect, and I will say the atmosphere beyond the acting, but like the atmosphere with the cinematography, the music, the lighting, everything that goes
Mhm.
into that really creates a helps facilitate the puzzle box, as you mentioned, and
Mhm.
the really the tone of everything that is going on there. I think that that is expertly executed as well.
Mhm.
Um,
And that brings up to like one of my favorite parts of the film, right? Is this is Victorian era, right?
mhm,
And I am just an absolute sucker for this
nice.
time period.
Hmm.
And it's the same production designer I know from the Batman films
Hmm.
that Nolan brought over, and I just think there's the scene where uh, Rebecca Hall's character goes back to her house, and I just see the paint peeling off the walls in her
Hmm.
apartment, and I'm just like, this feels just so real.
Hmm.
And I think just the time period, and then also just like you were talking about the lighting and cinematography of all of the magic stuff,
Hmm.
it's simultaneously dark and warm in
Hmm.
certain parts of it. And I think oftentimes it kind of follows the characters as well with that. So it's just immaculate production design, lighting, everything. Like you couldn't ask for a better stage for a performance that these actors give.
Absolutely. Uh, uh, I I completely agree. And when you're talking about like the set design and the props and the setting and all of that, then you go to something like Nikola Tesla's lab and
Hmm.
the machine that he builds, and it almost feels gothic, like Frankenstein.
Hmm.
Like that's the feeling you get from it, and it fits so well within the world, but also feels foreign to the world.
Hmm.
It's really really well created and well produced. Um, Nikola Tesla, and this helped me be in love with this movie. Nikola Tesla is by far my favorite like historical scientist. Uh,
Hmm.
I'm obsessed with Nikola Tesla. And what I love about what they did in this is that like there he is such a mythical figure within
Hmm.
history. There have been from the time that he was alive have been rumors and stories about the type of science he was able to achieve that hasn't necessarily ever been confirmed or
Hmm.
could even be confirmed and probably aren't true, but he's almost a magical figure within the science community,
Hmm.
and that's why I love his inclusion in this is because they hone into that and make Spider. Plus David Bowie, what a perfect casting.
It of all of the casting in the film, David Bowie as Tesla, and then Andy Serkis as his assistant, just like chef's kiss. Christopher Nolan, whoever the casting director was for this, just knocked this out of the park.
Absolutely, absolutely, it's very good. But that gets me to the point that I want to talk about some spoilers. So we're gonna go
Hmm.
to the Prestige and start talking about spoilers. So if you have not seen this movie, turn it off. Turn this off and go watch the movie and come back. But we're gonna talk about some spoilers um, because I this movie, as we talked about, it has that three act structure that works very much like a magic trick, and that is because this movie is a long form magic trick. Uh, and that's probably why I love it so much, and why people love it so much, and why when we watch it, we're like, ah, there we are. Because there's a point in it where he's talking about people don't want to know how something happens; they want to be fooled,
Hmm.
and that is kind of that's a commentary on how it's about the journey that you get about the journey getting there, and the end result is also important because you have to bring whatever the thing is back. Getting rid of
Mhm.
something is not enough to impress someone. You have to bring it back. Um, Christian Bale, because we talked about how how great he was in this movie, is playing two roles
Mhm.
throughout the movie. What's funny is that the first time I watched it, I was like, "Who is Fallon?" I'm trying to figure that out the whole time. Like, what actor is playing him? Because yeah, you're supposed to not know about Fallon.
Mhm.
But as I'm looking at it, I'm like, I know a person is playing that character, and I'm
Mhm.
trying to put my finger on it. And at one point, I was like, it kind of looks like Val Kilmer in makeup. It's obviously not. It was a different Batman in
Mhm.
makeup. And so, like the whole time, I'm wondering that when it gets that reveal, I'm like, that's that's obviously why I can't figure out who this is. But I love how they set that up in the first act of the movie
Mhm.
uh, when Borden, Christian Bale's character, is explaining uh, to Hugh Jackman like why, like how impressive the trick is that he has to change his whole life. His whole life has
Mhm.
to be different in order to in order for him to pull off that one trick.
Yeah,
And
the
yeah,
fishbowl scene, right? Like that's really where you kind of get to the ethos of Borden's character.
right, exactly. And they're doing the same thing. The two, we never really find out his real name, but Fallon and Borden, that's
Mhm.
their situation, is that um, they are both deeply living their different life for one trick,
Mhm.
and that shows obsession, which the
Mhm.
obsession is really a big part of this movie because both men
Oh.
are are uh, are heavily influenced by their obsessions
Mhm.
because obsession is probably the theme of this movie, but that shows the obsession, shows a willingness to stick to his craft. We were talking about, and I'll let you talk about this in just a second. I know I'm talking a lot. We are talking about two sides of the same coin. Borden and Fallon are also two sides of the same coin. That's one thing I
Mhm.
love. That's one of my favorite things is every time Rebecca Hall is like, "You don't love me today," or "You do love me today." It's like that's the
It
moment you know which one is that. Like
Mhm.
that's like telling you they are two different people. And
Mhm.
I love that.
And yeah, you get to it, the point there where it's like, and that's the thing, you like there's so much stuff that feels so innocuous the first time you watch this film. So like every time I rewatch this film, knowing the ending and knowing all of the twists, you're like looking for it. So you talked about like, oh, who's Fallon? I like he is such an innocuous side character that has a presence, but like for the average film goer, they're not like necessarily like I need to know more about this character. You're just like it's his quiet engineer or whatever they call him in
Yeah.
this Victorian era, right? And then you got to it with the Rebecca Hall thing. You don't love me today, and it's just like on the first glance, it's like, oh, you're just so obsessed with magic. You just don't, you love magic more than me today. And then when you go back and watch it, you're just like, oh, it's just the different guy.
Right.
And that it's such a, it's just the puzzle box aspect of this, right? Like, and when the writer knows the ending, you could just write, and it took them like several years to write this film, him and his brother. um and it's so well written and so well structured. And I think one of the other aspects of the structure of the film is the like the double frame story with the journals,
Hmm.
because that is also a bit of a magic trick itself too, because there's both of them experience a time where they're reading each other's journal, and then they get to the end and they're just like, holy crap, he got me, kind of thing.
Hmm.
And it's just like all of the mechanisms used in the film are a form of magic in a way, right? Like it's this twist, and it's just so beautifully woven into the story. um and yeah, you hit it right on the head. And yeah, I would love to like read the script for this film,
Mhm.
just to really get down to see how it's set up, because on screen it's immaculate.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Um, there are two things that I know I've noticed before, but stood out to me when on this most recent rewatch in terms of Fallon and Borden being both playing both characters. Um, he legitimate like the problem is that uh, Hugh Jackman keeps asking the wrong brother what knot they tied.
Yes. Yes.
uh, because he legitimately doesn't know because he didn't tie that knot.
Hmm.
And you can tell because and that's the brilliant thing about those two characters. The brother who doesn't know is the brother who would never have tied that knot
Hmm.
and is the one who cares enough to go to that funeral. Like
Hmm.
he is obviously the nice one, the kind one, the one that
Hmm.
loves his wife and his
Hmm.
daughter. Like that's obviously the one that that is, and he's the one that doesn't know because he can't do that. The other thing is when is that obviously the nice one,
Hmm.
for a better word, likes being called Alfie, but the other one doesn't. And
Hmm.
so he's like, "Don't call me that." Like sometimes, but sometimes he's cool with it. Like
Hmm.
I noticed that this time as well. Like what they call him, how how they act, all that. It's all it's just so well written and so well
Hmm.
structured.
The two parts that I really love that like kind of stuck out this time to me was right at the beginning, or it's not right at the beginning, but when Borden first does the transported man, Michael Caine's character is like he has to have a double, right? And it kind of goes right with, it goes back to the structure, the pledge, the turn, and the prestige. He tells you right off the bat, like it has to be a double, but it's just so well hidden all the way through, right?
Hmm.
And then one of the funnier gags in the film is when the one brother brings Rebecca Hall back to her apartment and then says goodbye, and then the other one's already in the apartment. And
Yes.
it looks like just this great magic gag, but when you know the twist, it's just like, oh, these dudes are like playing body double gags for love right now.
Hmm.
So it's kind of this sweet little moment in there, right? Because there is a lot of, especially on the romantic side, there's just a ton of sadness in the movie,
Hmm.
right? Like I mentioned, Piper Perabau's character just getting fridged
Right.
for pretty early on, right?
Yeah.
Um, and there's so much. I think that moment just sticks out because it's one of the like very like lovely romantic scenes in the movie. And it's obvious, like, that it's we'll call it the mean brother or whatever, or the not nice brother who's like saying goodbye to her. And then you immediately see the dynamic shift between the two when he pops up in the apartment.
Hmm.
And I kind of love that. It's
Yeah.
just a sweet moment.
Yeah, I love that too. Um, you were talking about the that when Michael Caine, when Cutter says at the beginning, or after the transported man, he's like he has to be using a double. What I love is that another part of a magic trick is your mind come up with a way that they did it, but the magician has to give you doubt, which they immediately do when Scarlett Johansson says no, he has a padded. He's obviously missing fingers on his hand. He has a
Hmm.
padded glove. Uh, so I love that. I love that they are performing, as we said, a magic trick in long
Hmm.
form in this movie. Um, yeah,
The fingers thing, right? Like that is such a interesting plot dynamic, right? Where at one point both of the characters sabotage each other, right? Borden and Angier, they both mess up each other's act at one point.
mhm,
Angier comes and stuffs the bullet in and causes, the destroyed fingers, right? And then Borden comes back and messes up the dove thing and gets, Angier kicked out of that theater, right? And it's just more like the fact that it happens on both sides and it goes back to the obsession thing, right? And I think the they have different kinds of obsessions and like a willingness. So like Borden's character is willing to um, ruin his own life by living this double life with his brother, and then Angier is so obsessed he's willing to, like ruin another person's life for this, and
Mhm,
it's the rhyming again
mhm.
um for it. But yeah, I mean, I could wax and wane on this film for hours.
Oh, me too. Me too. That's actually been a theme for these recordings for my favorite movies. It's like we could talk here forever, but we obviously can't. Um, Before we go, though, I do want to talk about the moral dilemma of Angier's transported man.
Hmm.
Uh, when they revealed that the first time when they revealed that in the first time I saw that, I was I I had all the emotions they wanted me to have. I was
Hmm.
amazed. I was appalled. I was
Hmm.
like, and then they show you like the silhouettes of all of the
Hmm.
guys that he has drowned in these things, um, and it really what I love about it is that there's not a good guy here.
Hmm.
There's not a bad guy here. Obviously, if there is a bad guy, it's probably Angier because he does let someone die for his
Hmm.
for his uh, murder, even though he's alive. But I love that. I love that this movie isn't about who is the hero, who is the villain. It's about two obsessed people, a rivalry of two obsessed
Hmm.
people, and it doesn't ask you to take a side, and I really love that.
Yeah, and we haven't really gotten in much into the transported man and the Tesla stuff, right? Like,
Hmm.
there's the famous saying, magic is just science we don't yet understand. And I
Hmm.
think the whole when science gets brought into this, right? Like, also like part of the Victorian era is like the invention of electricity, and like at the time, he goes to that symposium where everyone's just like freaked out over the Tesla coil going
Hmm.
crazy. And it's, science is just magic, or magic is just science we don't understand, and to them it is magic. So like that blend is incredible. You talked about like the mythical figure of Tesla. He's up in the mountains in Colorado in this isolated town, and just all of the stuff. The scene where Andy Serkis's character brings Angier out to the field, and they're just like, he picks up the bulb and it's still lighting, just like all of that stuff. And then you talk about the morality of it, right? And I think the easy lazy screenwriting of Angier's Transported Man is that, it's just a double, like it's like the line where he says, when I go into that, I don't know if I'm going to be the man in the Prestige or the man in the water, right? And it's just like, it kind of hand waves all of the magic of it all, right? Because obviously we all know that this is actual proposed magic and there is no science that could do this, right? But
Right.
to hand wave that away, but be like, I am I'm potentially killing myself for this, right? And it kind of circles back to the Borden thing where it's like giving up everything for it. And I think to like round it out, right? It's the prestige of this movie is the reveal that both men are alive, right? Obviously there's really three men here, and
Hmm.
one does inevitably die. But they die and then they're brought back to life in different ways. And
Hmm.
it goes back to, you got to bring the guy back. And that's
Hmm.
what makes that third act just one of the most incredible experiences. Like it really is just the reveal of it all is just so incredible, and that's what makes you go back and you watch it from the beginning and you're just like, holy crap, like it is so well set up and executed top to bottom.
Absolutely. No, yeah, you are spot on, and it goes back to the rhyming thing. Like that ending rhymes because of everything that you said. Yeah, I absolutely love this. And again, I could talk about this for hours, but I think that do you have any final thoughts before we wrap this up?
Not really. I kind of covered it all. It's just it's it's just such a good film.
It's so good.
And
Uh, yeah. And if you haven't seen it and you're still watching this, still go watch it because it's even if you know the ending, obviously we know the ending and we have watched it many times. So
Mhm.
even if you know the ending, it's still incredible to watch. So please do go watch this movie. If you have watched my other videos, thank you. If you haven't, I'm releasing one every week this week. So tune in tomorrow for another uh, one of my favorite movies. For Corey and myself, talk to us in the comments. Thanks.